In the fading twilight of the 1960s, a palpable fear gripped Northern California's Bay Area. It wasn't just the era's social upheaval, it was something far more sinister. A shadow lurking in the darkness, a phantom striking seemingly at random, leaving terror and cryptic clues in his wake. He was a killer who craved attention, who played a deadly game with police and the press, and who gave himself a name that would become synonymous with unsolved terror: Zodiac. As of today, April 26, 2025, his identity remains one of America's most haunting mysteries. The nightmare began on a cold December night in 1968 on the lonely Lake Herman Road. High school sweethearts David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were brutally shot and killed outside their car, a senseless act that baffled investigators. 7 months later, in July 1969, the terror escalated at Blue Rock Springs Park. Another young couple, Darlene Farron and Michael Mageau, were ambushed in their car, sprayed with bullets. Darlene died, but Michael miraculously survived, providing the first fleeting description of the attacker. Less than an hour after this attack, the killer himself made a chilling phone call to the Vallejo Police Department, calmly claiming responsibility for both attacks. The game had begun. On August 1st, 1969, the Zodiac elevated his game from brutal violence to psychological warfare. 3 major Bay Area newspapers received nearly identical handwritten letters. In them, the author took credit for the murders, revealed details only the killer could know, and included 1/3 of a complex 408-symbol cipher. His demand was chilling: publish the cipher on the front page, or he would kill again that weekend. The newspapers complied, and the public was gripped by fear and morbid curiosity. Within days, a schoolteacher and his wife cracked the code. The decoded message was a rambling, misspelled, and deeply disturbing manifesto about the thrill of the hunt and collecting slaves for the afterlife. It was also the first time the killer signed off with his infamous symbol, a circle with a cross through it. The Zodiac's audacity grew. On a bright September afternoon in 1969, by the tranquil shores of Lake Berryessa, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing when they were approached by a man wearing a bizarre executioner-style hood and a bib adorned with the Zodiac symbol. Claiming to be an escaped convict, he calmly tied them up before brutally stabbing them repeatedly with a long knife. Before leaving, he scrawled his symbol and the dates of his attacks on their car door. Brian miraculously survived to recount the terrifying ordeal, but Cecilia succumbed to her injuries 2 days later. This attack revealed a new level of terrifying theatricality and calculated cruelty. Just 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac brought his terror into the heart of San Francisco itself. Cab driver Paul Stein picked up a passenger who directed him to the affluent Presidio Heights neighborhood. There, the passenger shot Stein point-blank in the head, then calmly exited the cab, tearing off a piece of Stein's blood-soaked shirt. Teenagers witnessing the scene from a nearby house called the police in a frustrating twist of fate. A dispatcher error described the suspect as black, causing responding officers to briefly pass, but not stop, a white man matching the correct description walking away from the scene, possibly the Zodiac himself. The witnesses provided a description that led to the creation of the most enduring composite sketch of the killer. Days later, proving his involvement beyond doubt, the Zodiac mailed a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle containing the piece of Paul Stein's shirt, taunting the police for their near miss. For years, the Zodiac continued his campaign of terror through the mail. Taunting letters, cryptic postcards, more complex ciphers, like the infamous 340-character cipher, which remained unsolved for 51 years until cracked by amateur codebreakers in 2020. though it yielded no name. Bomb threats, including a detailed diagram and a threat against a school bus, and boasts of a victim count reaching potentially 37 or more, though only 5 deaths are definitively linked. He reveled in the media frenzy, manipulated the public sphere, and played a sinister game of cat and mouse with law enforcement, always seeming one step ahead. A massive multi-jurisdictional police investigation ensued, dedicating countless hours and resources to catching the elusive killer. But the hunt was fraught with challenges. Conflicting eyewitness descriptions, a scarcity of conclusive physical evidence, and a killer who seemed adept at leaving few traces of individuals were considered suspects. The most prominent was Arthur Lee Allen, a man with a troubled past who owned a Zodiac brand watch, wore the same boot size found at Lake Berryessa, and reportedly made incriminating statements. Despite extensive investigation and searches, no direct evidence conclusively tied Allen to the crimes. Fingerprints didn't match, and later DNA analysis on partial evidence from the letters excluded him. He died in 1992, taking any potential secrets with him. Numerous other suspects were investigated, but none could ever be definitively identified as the Zodiac. Around 1974, the confirmed communications from the Zodiac seemed to cease. Did he die? Was he imprisoned for other crimes? Did he simply tire of his game and melt back into anonymity, savoring his dark secret? These questions linger, unanswered. Despite advances in forensic science and renewed efforts over the decades, the Zodiac Killer case remains officially open and officially unsolved. To this day, April 26, 2025, he remains a phantom, identified only by his chilling pseudonym and his cryptic symbol. The Zodiac Killer left an indelible scar on the psyche of California and the nation. He ushered in a new era of public awareness and fear of serial killers. His case inspired countless books, documentaries, and feature films, including classics like Dirty Harry, whose villain Scorpio was loosely based on Zodiac. In David Fincher's meticulous film Zodiac, his symbol and methods became ingrained in true crime lore, fueling endless speculation and amateur detective work that continues even now. He created a terrifying archetype, the intelligent, taunting killer who eludes capture. Who was the Zodiac Killer? Was he one of the known suspects or someone never even considered? Will his identity ever be uncovered through a deathbed confession, a long-forgotten piece of evidence, or a future forensic breakthrough? Or will he forever remain a ghost in the shadows, a chilling testament to the fact that sometimes the monster is never caught, leaving behind only questions, fear, and the haunting echo of a name, Zodiac.